Since we're nearing the end of our time in the Carolinas, there are a handful of iconic ingredients that have yet to be highlighted. So we gave the fans 3 choices. Peaches, which is the state fruit of South Carolina, boiled peanuts, a very popular roadside snack, and an ingredient that is hard to get and hard to keep fresh, pawpaw.
If a mango and a banana had a baby, don't eat the skin because you have diarrhea.
The results are in.
And don't eat the seeds because you also have diarrhea.
Welcome to the Eat Your Content Podcast. I'm your host, Rich Herrera. Thanks for tuning in. Just a reminder to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content, and make sure you like and subscribe on your podcast player of choice so you'll know when new episodes drop. Make sure to hit that bell icon so you'll be notified of all the new things that are happening. We are in Top Chef Season 23, Episode 11. Got so much to talk about. We have 2 frontrunners tripping at the finish line. We've got another cooking like she's got something to prove. The return of Seager, are we safe to say? And rabbit dishes that are multiplying like rabbits. Sorry, I apologize for that bad joke. And joining me once again this week, Top Chef Season 20, or from Top Chef Season 22, Chef Corwin Hemming. Chef, how are you?
Let's get it. We got a lot to talk about. This is a up and down episode, all over the place. It was interesting. We got to dive into it. Let's just go for it.
Go for it, man. It's a roller coaster. So I want to start with the cold open there. They had Jonathan's phone call, and last week you were talking about how you're just kind of cut off from everybody. And I think Jonathan's phone call really illustrated that well. He talked about how much he misses his family and how much he missed participating in Top Chef, his wife's birthday, his kid's first day of school, all of that. So I'm sure you identify, as we talked about last week, how much, you're around the same people every day, which is great, but you kind of feel lonely in a group of people, right? Through all that. So I'm sure you could identify with what Jonathan was going through there.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's the weeks stack up quick. So in totality, they're probably full 2 months at this current juncture away from home. No phones, no cell phones, no laptops, no TVs. And it's just the people around you. Obviously if you need to make a phone call home, you can ask the production team and they'll do their best to make it work on your off days. But at this point, there's not a lot of people left in the competition. It's just a couple of people, and your battle buddy from the beginning is probably not there. And in Jonathan's case, Brandon's gone. So we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. Is that going to hurt him or is that going to fuel him? He said, I thought my twin brother would have been in it this long past me, and that's a testament to his love for his twin brother. And so I think he's doing well at this point. He came off of a high from having auditioned the top 3 from the last challenge. And so you'll just start to see people the stress is getting to people. I think that's ultimately where it gets. We're going to see the stress is going to stack up really quick, and it either makes or breaks you.
Yeah, the stress is starting to pile up, and then you have the homesickness coming in, and so seeing that really brought home like, man, these folks are missing a lot of life to compete on Top Chef, and they, it's worth it for them to be on this show that for some was probably a lifelong dream of theirs ever since they became a chef. I mean, we're talking 23 seasons in, so some of these chefs are younger and have grew up on Top Chef and are like, I'm finally here, but missing out on life. So let's jump right into the Quickfire. The guest judges are a group that I don't know who they are. The Try Guys, Keith Habersberger, and the executive producer of the Try Guys, Rachel Ann Cole. Apparently they are YouTube content creators. I am not familiar with their work, but I hear they're funny. I don't know. Have you ever watched any of their videos on YouTube or anything?
Nah, I'm not big on the content creators on YouTube, so I have in the same boat as you. Have no idea who these people are.
Don't know who they are, but good for them. They were funny in the challenge. At least the guy was. Keith, he was chowing down. I think is what I forgot what his catchphrase was during the whole thing, but it was kind of funny. But the challenge was to create a dish with elements voted on by Top Chef fans, and I thought 2 of the 3 choices that the fans, and I don't remember this. I follow Top Chef on Facebook and Instagram. I don't remember a poll coming out, so I definitely would have voted if I saw it. But 2 out of the 3, I thought the fans really let him off easy on this one. So like so here's the three elements. The first element is they had to highlight a South Carolina ingredient. The choices were peaches, boiled peanuts, and something called a pawpaw. And I thought Sherry was hilarious talking about this at the beginning at the beginning of this challenge. Like it's like if a mango and a banana had a baby, but don't eat the skin or the seeds because they'll give you diarrhea. I'm like, oh, that sounds unpleasant. And the fans chose peaches. Like that's the easy one out, right?
Yeah, for sure. Easiest one. And I just found out that the national fruit of South Carolina or the Carolinas is a peach. So to me, that was interesting because it's like, I'm from Georgia. That's our fruit.
Right.
Don't That's our fruit, South Carolina, not yours. All right. So don't go, you take the pawpaw. Well, you can have the pawpaw. But a little history lesson. I think a pawpaw would have been a great thing. It's the largest indigenous fruit to the Americas, specifically in North America. It was one of the main crops that Native Americans ate and grew, and it was very bountiful across the Americas. And it's making a comeback right now. I think a lot of people are realizing what it is and where it grows and what it where you can get it. And it grows here in Maryland, DC, Virginia. It's very, very big in the Midwest, like the Southern Midwest, so like central part of America, Arkansas, Lower Missouri, et cetera. You can find them everywhere in the woods, but it's a massive fruit, and it eats like custard when it's perfectly ripe. It's super custardy. Puree is really easy. It does taste exactly like if a mango and a banana spliced, but it's great. It's a really, really good fruit. I think that should have been the highlight because that would have been a little bit more of a challenge because I don't think anybody outside of Sherry and maybe Anthony has had it before. Like it's for most chefs, it's a new ingredient. So I think that would have been the one. Peanuts, whatever. But the pawpaw would have been the one that I would have been like, that's the one they should actually do because let's see how creative you can get with that versus a peach. Everybody's had a peach before.
Yeah, I thought the pawpaw would have been a really great way to highlight something that is uniquely Carolinian. Like you said, peaches is Georgia's known as the peach state, and there's a
Yeah.
hundred. Everybody's had a peach. Everybody knows what it tastes like. So the pawpaw would have been a really great history lesson, and also a challenge because if you didn't know the peels and the seeds gave you diarrhea, it's like if you had a sushi challenge and you could choose between salmon, tuna, and puffer fish, and you had to break it down. I'd have been choosing the puffer fish for the chefs because I want to see what happens if you can, get around that stuff. So I thought that was the easy way out to choose the peaches there. The second element is the fans got to choose how long the challenge would take, 15, 20, or 30 minutes. And again, the fans chose 30 minutes. Like this was your chance to really see some pressure and do 15. I'd have chose 15. Well, what would you have chosen?
30.
As a participant, I can understand that.
Look, even as a professional chef, you want us to put up something good. 30 minutes, like you could do that in 30 minutes. 20 minutes is like, all right, this is what you get. Like whatever's on that plate. You gave me 20 minutes. 15, like we had a challenge. What challenge was it? It was the trivia, the Top Chef trivia challenge on my season. And based on I think where you stacked up, how many points you scored, determined how much time you got for your quick fire cook. And so me, Cesar, Schwai, and Vinny absolutely crushed that challenge. I was on the button and I was tapping that thing. I was like, look, Vinny, if we get it wrong, it's okay. We're gonna be the first answer. So I was bing, bing, bing. I remember like I was smacking that button so fast, and then Massimo was like, "Oh, I think our button's broken, like it's not working." So we took a pause, and Kristen was like, Everybody press your button." And he hit his button, and it lit up. The other team hit theirs, it lit up. The other team hit theirs, lit up. And they were like, "I think Corwin's was really fast," and I just kept going. So we ended up blowing everybody out of the water. Like we answered, I think we got like 9 points. Like it wasn't even close. The other team maybe got 3. One team got like 2 or 1, and it just was not close. And so Tristan's team had 15 minutes to cook. Where you stacked up, you either had 30 minutes, 20 minutes, or 15 minutes to cook. And everything that last team put up looked like something you would make in 15 minutes. I'll just say that. It's 15 minutes. It wasn't fair. And they were just like, what the fuck? Like, this is not 15 minutes. Are you serious? So no, you need at least 30 minutes. I won that challenge. That's where I won 10K on the my seared scallop dish. But had I had anything less than that, I'd have been like struggling, like cooking ideas, getting to the plate. Like it was just a mess. So yeah, I think 20 minutes is crazy. 15 is just not even realistic. Even though we're chefs, like don't expect us to be superheroes. Like it's not like that.
I don't know. Maybe it's the Schadenfreude in me, but I would have picked the pawpaw in 15 minutes. It would have been like, do something with that. See what you can come up with.
They gotta put next year. They gotta put all of these content creators. You, the lovely ladies that do the other podcast. What's theirs called?
Compliments to the chef.
Compliments to the chef. Yeah, they gotta. Tom Habershad or
Haberstro, pack your knives.
Haberstro, yeah, pack your knives. Throw all you guys in there. I want to see how you guys cook. How about that's the challenge? And then you get paired with a chef. One of the top chef guys gets paired with you guys, and how you do determines if they win cash or not. That should be a challenge next year.
That would make for good TV. Put a sharp knife in my hand and let's let chaos.
Let's see what
anarchy would reign. That would be fun.
I'd pay to see that. I'd pay to see that for sure.
The third element, so there's 3 elements total. The third element happened in the middle of the challenge, where the choices were turn your dish into a sandwich. So this is about halfway through the challenge. Kristen comes up and says, okay, the last challenge is you can turn your station or turn your dish into a sandwich, take over the station to the right, or what was the last one? Or add a foam element to the dish. So the fans chose the right one, which was shift everybody to the right. I thought that was a great little curveball. But before we talk about how all of that sorted itself out, they got $50 to shop at a local kind of market called Swamp Rabbit Cafe and Grocery. I love these kinds of places. When I saw it, it was, again, one of those things when you watch Top Chef and the city kind of becomes a character, you start writing down all these places you want to go. I didn't know this was here. And I was like, oh man, Swamp Rabbit Cafe and Grocery looks great. And then they all, because they're all first-time shoppers, they have this like promotion where they give you a free loaf of bread. So everybody got a free loaf of bread. So with 30 minutes and peaches, you saw a lot of crostinis on this one. Everybody had a variation of crostini. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But I think that's hard to avoid. I mean, you're getting a free ingredient, essentially. So why not use it? You got 30 minutes. I think crostinis were the best choice to try to make something in that amount of time. It reminds me of, was it your season or the season before where everybody made a croquette?
Everybody made a croquette. That was the season before. That wasn't my season.
Yeah. So that was Canada. That was in Canada. Everybody made a croquette. It was outside and it was hot and everyone's like, I got to make a croquette. And so that was just the easy thing to do. And I think in this case is the same thing. Doing a crostini, easiest thing to do with the free bread and the ingredients there.
Could have done a pantanella salad, could have made croutons, could have done a lot of other things, but everybody chose to do the exact same thing. I was like, all right, this is all right. Let's be original here, guys. There's other things with bread you can make here for sure.
Or just not use the bread and just go.
Or just not use it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Seager really tried to, he saw what was going on. Is like, I got to try to do something different to try to stand out. So let's talk about the dishes a little bit. So Lawrence did a crostini with peach and raisin relish, pickled peaches, arugula, yogurt sauce. Anthony did a crostini, arugula, roasted peaches, pickled peaches, whipped feta, and toasted almonds. Rhoda did a peach and burrata tostada with corn relish and a chipotle aioli. Sherry did a gochujang marinated peach crostini, burrata, marinated tomatoes, and fresh basil pesto. Jonathan did heirloom tomatoes, peaches, sardines, and green harissa. And Seager did crostini, sunflower seed, and peach alade with roasted peach and whipped feta and dill. So I thought it was pretty interesting that the favorites were Lawrence and Rhoda, but really it was because of what Anthony did and what Sherry did, because they shifted to the right. So Lawrence took over Anthony's prep and Rhoda took over Sherry's prep. And they were the favorites of the top there. And it was kind of like, did you really win, or did you just take advantage? And that's the challenge, right? They moved to the right. They had a good setup and they just took advantage of it. So what did we think of that last twist and who was named at the top and who's named at the bottom? And really, was it, how much of it was them and how much was the prep work before the switch?
Oh yeah, they got lucky. They just happened to fall into a station of somebody that made something like really well balanced, really well seasoned. For example, had I got tossed in with the sardines, I'd have been like, I'm not using these sardines. I'm not using Jonathan's prep. I'm not using sardines. I would have trashed those aside and played it around that. I just don't think that would have melded very well. But I mean, it depends on if he had already mixed it into everything. But yeah, it was a good twist. I think their success was completely predicated on the fact that Anthony and Sherry made really delicious things, and everybody was making a crostini. So like, what work did you have to do? Toast some bread? Like, don't you don't get any credit for that. Like, you just won just off of the uh the fans throwing that last twist in there, which was great. I would have done the same thing. Switch everybody to the right. Sandwich is easy. Slap, because basically Christine is an open face sandwich, so checkmate that everybody's did that. But
Yep.
the slide to the right was the right way to go in terms of like throwing that twist in there, and then yeah, two people just got lucky, man. And Sherry, you could tell Sherry was pissed. Sherry was like,
Yeah.
I've been here. I haven't won any money yet. I haven't won a challenge. And this was her chance. And she would have did it. She would have won.
She would
But
have
then
won. Yeah. And
yeah, so Rhoda felt a little bad. Rhoda was like, I'm gonna take her on a vacation, which yeah, fly Sherry out. Fly her out. You want to be daddy? Who was it? Dwayne was always calling everybody daddy. You want to be daddy? Fly somebody out. Fly her to Hawaii where you live and see what's up. You know what I mean? Like they're also cordial enough, so I think that they would have a little girls trip and it would be fun. But yeah, like I would if I won 10K on somebody else's work, I'd be like, bro, I'm gonna get you. Like I got you something. I'll buy you a gift. I'll send you a knife. What do you want? You want to come to Hawaii? Sure, let's go. You know what I mean? Like I'd have made it
yeah.
fun for them. But yeah, that she got lucky.
Yeah. And on the other end of that, you had the least favorites were Jonathan, Anthony, and Sherry. They said Jonathan, the sardines were a bit much.
Mhm.
Anthony, they said the bread and the peaches were cut too thick, made it hard to handle. And Sherry was too bitter and too thick. And she even mentioned that when she got to her station. I can't remember who she took over, but she's like, "Man, this pesto's really bitter." Like she knew it.
Mhm.
So maybe it was something you shouldn't have put on the plate. But she was highlighting Sherry for just a second. She was pissed. She already came into today with a chip on her shoulder based on her comments in the last episode, or like, what do I have to do to get out of the middle? And
Mhm.
then she loses her challenge that she probably would have won had they not switched, because her tostada, the judges said it was well composed and fully intentional. And who knew that Chipotle and peach was a good combination? Sherry did.
Mhm.
And because of that, Rhoda got the credit for it. And so she went into the elimination challenge like she was mad. Like she
Yeah.
was cussing up a storm, and not mad like jokingly mad. Like she was sincerely upset
Mhm.
that happened. And she lost again, or felt like that she lost again. So she's coming into the elimination challenge wound up and feeling like she's got something to prove. What do we think of Sherry here going into the elimination challenge with this huge chip on her shoulder, and knowing the outcome of it? Did you think that fueled her going into the elimination challenge?
Yes. I also have a hot take. There's two lovely ladies left, and there's four gentlemen left in this competition.
Hmm.
And I'm willing to bet the tactic of riding in the middle is going to pay off for one of them.
Mm. How
I
so?
think I think one of them is going to want to go. They're going for it. Like there's always a female that is in the finalists. There's always somebody that makes it to the end. I'm willing to bet both of them get there at this point. At my current juncture, seeing how it is, Rhoda's kind of she won the Quickfire challenge, so let's give her some props there.
Yeah.
She won it on Sherry's work.
Yeah.
So, and then knowing how the end of the episode goes, they're riding a high coming into these last five people. So it's going to get slim pickings very quick here. And I'm willing to bet one or two of them. I'm going to bet both of them make it to the top, just because of how the season's gone. Rhoda, we can't disregard. She's had some trip ups here, but everybody has trip ups in Top Chef. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you won. At some point in time, you struggled. Rhoda started out very strong as you should come out in Top Chef. All the
Yeah.
confidence, had it shattered, one back through on some Kristen Kish style win. She beat everybody out,
Hmm.
came back in, almost got knocked out again. She's seen what she has to do to like be successful here at this point. I'm willing to bet like, and Sherry's cooking from like a dark place. She reminds me of like Tom Brady when like he was on the sidelines, head down, 28-3 down at halftime against my Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
And she's pissed. You can't. I saw that happen to Tristan too. There was a day where like Tristan didn't want to, like Massimo was really like getting under his skin, and Tristan didn't want to talk to anybody. He's pissed. And I'm like, oh, bro, I'm being me. I'm like, hey man, you can't let that get to you. Like I'm like still joking around, keeping the spirits high. And then when I got knocked out, I'm like, man, Tristan was really pissed about that. And then like
Hmm.
we were in LTK and I'm like, yo, like who won last challenge? When the next chef would come in, like, who won? Tristan. Who won? Tristan. Who won? I was like, Tristan, that anger is gonna feel him. So I've seen it happen before in Top Chef. So look, I've been riding for Sherry this whole time. I've been waiting for Sherry to heat up. And then I think this is her time. I think this is where she really grips the gears and switches gears and goes for it. I think Rhoda, we've already seen the best of what she can do. If she can find a way to stay there on these last couple of episodes, because we got 12, 13, 14, we got 3 episodes left. This is it. This is the Catalina wine mixer. Are we gonna see a double elimination next? Are we gonna see something like switch up? Like what's gonna happen? Because there's only gonna be 3 people. We know this. There's only gonna be 3 of them in the finale. We know how this episode ends. We know that Lawrence is cooking at a high level. Does Jonathan sneak his way in there at this point? Does Seager ride that middle all the way through? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
something's gonna give or take here. But I'm willing to bet on the ladies. I'm gonna bet on the ladies. I'm gonna bet on the ladies. Give me some extra points if I'm right. I'll roll some dice and we'll figure it out. But I think Sherry's she's got a chip on her shoulder, and you're right. I think it's gonna pay off for her. It has to in some way, shape, or form. Can't be that mad and not cook well.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's two ways to cook. You cook with love, or you cook from a place of anger, right? Or
Both of which I've seen get you good results. I've seen it work on both sides. So like, I don't
yeah,
know. We'll see.
it's like if you're cooking from a place of I'm going to show you, then you're
Mhm.
putting your best work. And today Sherry showed that,
Yeah,
being fueled from the last episode, and then losing the quickfire challenge on essentially her own dish.
yeah.
And she's like, oh, this is not going to fly. And then she goes to this elimination challenge with a purpose.
Mm.
So let's talk about it. So the elimination challenge, we're still in Greenville, and I did not know this, but it was home to Michelin North America, the famed Michelin star system that we all know and love, as foodies and eaters. So the challenge was to create a dish featuring rabbits, and there was kind of this thing like theme of being that this is home of Michelin, so the expectation is make it Michelin worthy, right? So the guest judges was a Michelin chef, Michelin starred chef Nikki Nakayama, chef and owner of Nanaka in Minnesota. And then you have Adam Cook, executive chef of Topsoil, where they're cooking, and Brent Bookwalter, who's a retired Olympic cyclist. So they get $400 to spend at Whole Foods. Lawrence won the elimination challenge last time, so he gets an extra 100. And Anthony immediately clocks, well, that's a lot of money. How many people are we cooking for? So he knows something's up. You get that much money as a single person to spend at Whole Foods. So Kristen says they're cooking for 24 diners, 5 of which are mystery diners. That's going to have a say in who wins this challenge. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the whole rabbit concept, right? I like rabbit. Whenever I see it on a menu, I tend to order because I don't eat it a lot. There's
Mhm.
you can't go to your average grocery store and buy rabbit. You got to go to specialty stores or specialty grocery stores. So the challenge that they said in cooking rabbit, it's really lean. There's not a whole lot of fat involved. So what were some of the techniques that you saw being used that you liked, with them infusing fat into a dish or trying to keep it from running dry? What were some techniques that you saw that you thought was a really good idea?
I thought confing it obviously is the best way. It's the only way I've cooked it. The hind legs are like super tender. It eats like chicken thighs, where it's when you just cook it low and slow, it's still juicy. The texture is great. So that's the only way I've ever prepared rabbit personally. But then I thought making it into a roulade, Seager's idea of like looking for caul fat, looking for bacon, or using bacon was like a smart idea, just because you can protect the integrity of it. You can let the outside get a nice sear on it while the inside slowly cooks. Um, I thought Brandon's idea of doing like a lollipop was pretty cool, like the little croquette
Jonathan?
lollipop. Yeah, or Jonathan. Yeah, sorry, was a good idea. And so there was a lot of good ideas. I think everybody approached it with a smart idea, but it's, as we know, in like the Top Chef kitchen, execution is that's the difference between your idea and like winning or getting knocked out. And so a lot of good ideas all around. I think everybody approached cooking rabbit the right way, low and slow, confit, adding fat back, saucing it just because you don't want it to dry out. Like everybody was like, they knew what they were getting when it came to rabbit. So
Yeah. I thought Seager's roulade was a really great idea too, and it looked good. It looked
Mm,
like a classic Michelin style dish at the end of
mm,
the day, and Tom said that too. One thing that we learned about one of the chefs, Lawrence, came to cooking late in life. He started at 27, which is pretty late in life to start that kind of career, and he's 38 at the time of the filming. So he's been cooking, a little over 10 years. That is that makes his performance on this show a lot more impressive. Like, when did you
mm.
start cooking? What age did you start really cooking as a career?
22.
22. So you started a little
Yeah.
younger, right? So
Yeah.
when
I
you heard he
started,
was sorry.
I started like, I went to undergrad first at Howard University and then graduated. And then I jumped straight into culinary school when I was, yeah, I think 21, 22 when I jumped into it. So like right after college, I was like in it to win it. And then I was working in restaurants all the time. So I was serving tables. I've been serving tables since I was 19. Um, so I've been in the industry for 15, 16 years at this point in total, but of the chef driven cooking, line cooking, working my way up the ladder, it's been 12, 13 years. So it is pretty impressive to see that like somebody joins late and then has this much success. He's got it's like a strong cultural foundation behind him. I think that's what fuels him a lot in his style of cooking. He definitely like leans into his cultural cooking, so it's good to see. But yeah, when he said that, I was just like, wow. I didn't think he was 38. I thought he was a little bit younger. Um, but then also, having a decade of experience, like, and he's cooking the way he's cooking. I'm like, man, he's outshining some of the people that like have a better resume. Like he said, I've never worked in like a Michelin star kitchen. I've never worked in all these places. Da da da. That holds weight. When you don't go that ladder and like you see a bunch of people that have, it's like it could be a little intimidating. For example, in my season when Katiana came in, she was the only female 3 Michelin star chef de cuisine in the United States. Like I was like, okay, she's coming with it. Sure enough, she was coming with it. You know what I mean? So to see somebody like her get knocked out right after me, I was like, oh man, like what did you do? Like how bad did you mess up? You know what I mean? I was shocked. And so, because I was like, if anybody could take it far to like the finale, it would have been her for sure. But yeah, man, I think Lawrence's his background, it's impressive that he didn't go the traditional route or do all these Michelin star restaurants or do this, do that, win these awards. He's just a guy that like is in it for the love of the game. And it's showing.
Yeah, and on top of that, he said he didn't go to culinary school. Like, he just started working in
Yeah.
kitchens at 27. So not having that foundation of culinary school or working your way up in the kitchen world, and starting late in life and having done it only 11 years at the time of the recording, makes his wins much more impressive. And you're right, when he said he was 38, I was like, man, I thought he was in his 20s too. It's like, you know what they say, Asian don't raisin. So it's so
Asian don't raisin. It's crazy.
A- Asian don't raisin. So yeah, so he is doing really well. I was even more impressed
Mm,
hearing that he's only been cooking for that amount of time, and winning as much as he's winning on this show. But he also brings up a good point about Michelin. Michelin is really broad. I mean, he said that there's a food stall in Singapore that's got a Michelin star, and then you go all the way up to, $1,000 multi-course, multi-hour tasting menu events. So when the I don't know, implied is that this should be a Michelin worthy dish for this particular challenge. That is, most people tend to think on the latter half of that equation where we're thinking fine dining, we're thinking this should be on a tasting menu, but then you have a food stall in Singapore that's, I don't know, food on a stick or street food that's Michelin star. So where do you go with this challenge? Where did you go in your head when you were thinking, how would I make this Michelin, quote unquote, Michelin worthy, when it could be anything from street food to fine dining?
I think you should just do what you've been doing this whole time. Don't switch anything up. Everybody's already been plating dainty portions. It's not, that's the biggest misconception I think most chefs have when it comes to what the Michelin guide is and what it's supposed to be. It's predicated off service standards. Food is second.
Hmm.
Like, let's be honest, like the food is the icing on top of the cake. But if you can't execute service, you're not going to get a star. It's got to be service forward. It's got to be, can you, if you're going to put a tasting menu on your menu, if that's how you're going to run your service, can you execute the style of service that is that? So they're looking at all the things. They're looking at, how do you mark and repair? Are you paying attention if I drop my napkin? Are you replenishing every single course and dropping chopsticks for things that are sushi sashimi based? Are you dropping steak knives for red meats, duck, pork chops, steaks, etc. Like there's a finesse to the service. What does your wine list look like? What is the price point of buying one, two, and three things stack up to? Are you in that bracket? How good is your wine list? How good is the service table side? Is it very polished? Are they wiping the tables down? Are they crumbing white tablecloth? There's so many things that go into the table service. And then to take it up 1, 2 stars, 3 stars, then it gets even more diluted in terms of like, or not diluted, it gets more fine tuned in terms of like, are you offering something that's like an exceptional off the beaten path worth me traveling from across the world to experience? That's why you see like the 11 Madison Parks where they have dreamweavers, people that literally are listening and trying to adapt your meal to something special in your life. They'll scope your Instagram, they'll look at where you were born, they'll try to find something. Oh, I've never had a hot dog in New York City before. They're gonna fucking make you a hot dog. It's gonna be a Michelin star hot dog, but you're gonna make sure you leave New York City with a hot dog if that's like your last stop in New York City. Like that's where the special treatment comes in of how certain houses treat the Michelin guy. They've already got the star because their service is great and their food is really good. Now they're like, let's go for it. We've got the budget, we've got the team. Let's go to the moon and back. Let's create all these crazy programs. Let's do table side stuff. That's where the Michelin guide is looking at it. It's like, okay, not only have you nailed the service aspect, a glass of wine, an entree, and a dessert costs X amount. All right, we're past that. Let's scope your tasting menu. You're in a 2-star realm. This is what predicates 2 stars. This is what gets you to 3 stars. And I don't think that chefs, they just focus too much on the food sometimes. You can have amazing food. I've eaten at amazing restaurants that don't have a star. Why? Because their service isn't there, or their service isn't that style, and they don't want to be. And that's okay. But I don't think that you need to switch up and do something drastically different in terms of like executing this challenge to get to fit that theme. Just plate sexy food. Just plate dainty, sexy food. Don't make the portion too big. I think that that's the one thing. Don't fill your plate up with like really big things. Make it a little daintier, but stay there. Keep doing what you're doing. Like that's where I think when we saw how this played out, I was like, oh, come on. Like you should have just kept doing what you were doing. You tried to switch up your style in terms of Anthony, and that wasn't a smart strategy. Like stick to the challenge and just keep doing exactly what you're doing. Keep cooking the food that you want to cook, plate it the way you want it to be plated. They're mystery diners, so you don't know what they're looking for. You don't know who they are. So don't try to go do something and reinvent the wheel of what's been successful for you in Top Chef thus far. At the end of the day, it's just a challenge. It's still Top Chef. So stay in the world of Top Chef. Keep doing what you're doing that have won you challenges or won you money, and then go from there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I agree with you with a lot of what you're saying there. The food, when I hear about Michelin Star, they do talk about the service. The Dreamweaver thing that you brought up, I thought was is nothing I've ever seen in a restaurant before, where they
Hmm.
kind of like scope out their customers before they get to the restaurant,
Hmm.
and making their experience personalized, and that's what makes it stand out from other restaurants there. So let's talk about some of the cooking choices. Two particular chefs stand out to me during the kind of the prep and the cook there. Sherry and Anthony. Anthony, I thought had a really good idea. Like he said, I want to
Same.
do rabbits and carrots. He said he was a fan of Bugs Bunny, so he thought rabbits with carrots dish would be kind of fun. And I totally agreed with him. I thought that would be whimsical, and Michelin food is whimsy, can be whimsical. So I thought that was really a cool choice. I just don't think he leaned into it all that much,
Hmm.
unfortunately. And then Sherry was really interesting. Tom comes in and does this Tom thing where he makes you question every decision you ever made in your life up until that
Yep.
point. And she said she's doing a braised jerk, and he's like, "Wait, a jerk isn't usually braised. Are you sure you want to do that?" And I think had Sherry not come in with a chip on her shoulder, I think she might have pivoted and thought about that because when she came in, she's like, what do I need to do to make the judges like my food? And then a judge says that. Any other time, I think she would have pivoted and tried to change what she was doing. But she's like, no, no, no. I'm standing by what I do. I'm standing by my flavors. I'm gonna do what I do, and you're gonna like it, damn it. And she
Yeah.
stuck to her guns and ended up winning the challenge here at the end. We'll talk about that later. But you kind of see those two two things there, and one went right and one kind of went wrong. So, what is it about the two that you saw, or what other highlights did you see that stood out to you during this cook um, for this challenge?
So, in terms of Sherry and what Tom said to her, jerk is typically not braised. Jerk is used to slow cook. I think it has an application. There's no rules in cooking. Like there's technique for sure. And was she using jerk what it's technically used for? No, but that's okay. I did the same thing in my challenge. I used jerk for fried chicken. I made my own marinade and then fried chicken with it. But it's like there's no rules when it comes to like how flavors can be imparted. I think that there's things that do work and things that don't work. Obviously, flavor combinations, you can make crazy combinations, but there's just things that will just should not work. And I don't think that her idea was so far fetched that Tom had to be like, well, that's I I don't know. I disagreed with that. When I heard him say that, I was like, no, you can do it. She can do it. I agree with her. Stand on that because it showed off. But in terms of how Anthony approached it, I think he had a good idea. And then once again, the execution just wasn't there. And in terms of like his cookery, not the idea of like the carrots, the carrot puree and ginger, carrot and ginger is a classic combination across multiple different cultures. So that's gonna work. But his cook of the duck or the rabbit itself, it was dry. He fried it in like the little like egg roll, and everybody said it was super dry. And so I think he made it too small. He should have tried to maybe seal that little pocket and then fry it because the fact that it was like open on the edges, the oil's going to get in and dry that rabbit out quick. It's already cooked. It's already confit. So I think his execution was just off. I think his idea could have gotten there had he executed better, but he also went super dainty in his plating. He switched up. We saw a different style of plating from him. And it's not to say that he doesn't have that in his bag. He clearly does. He's a talented chef for sure. But he went in a direction that I think just wasn't. He should have just kept leaning into that Afro Caribbean stay there. Like it sounded like Sherry's idea of like doing jerk rabbit. That's what Anthony cooks. Like let's be real. That's the style of he cooking. He should have stayed there, in my opinion. Not to say he couldn't have, looped that idea in, but I think he just went completely left versus the things he was doing over here on the right that made him successful and Top Chef thus far. And so yeah, it just didn't pan out for him today, and it sucks because I was riding for him. I was one of my higher draft picks. Got a lot of respect for the guy. He's talented, and so I wanted to see him go all the way, but it didn't pan out for him today.
Do you think the idea of cooking quote unquote Michelin food got into his head a little bit? Because he was talking about that in his confessionals, like, oh, well, Michelin food is this and it's this. And then he plated what he thought what Michelin food should look like. Do you think that idea kind of got to him?
Yeah, I think he went too hard into it. Like, there's levels to the Michelin game. Like, you didn't have to go quite there. He could have just kept doing exactly what he's doing. He's been cooking at a high level in multiple challenges. He's won quite a bit of money at this point. Like he should have just stuck to his guns instead of trying to like go on this like far-fetched idea. I think that when they all heard Michelin and like Michelin inspectors, they were like, oh, like I think it got to him a little bit in terms of like how his thought process that went into his final dish.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too, because he had a really great idea. And if he just
Mhm.
leaned into that whimsy a little bit, I think it would have been a completely different outcome. But let's talk about the dishes. So Seager and Sherry presented first. Seager did his rabbit roulade with awful farce, braised endive, hazelnut, and cauliflower puree. The dish looked great. Gail thought it was tremendous, and Tom called it Michelin quality. So we talked a lot about Seager the last couple of episodes and how he was kind of feeling like he was cooking with indifference, but he really did well in this episode. And Tom even said, or was it Tom? It was some one of the judges said, I'm getting an idea of what kind of cook you are with this challenge. And I
Yeah.
think this type of challenge was right up Seeger's alley. I think he's much more fine dining oriented. And I think the last few challenges didn't go that way. He was really excited about the barbecue one, and then it didn't work
Mm-hmm.
out. But when we were thinking when we were saying he was cooking with indifference, I just don't think he had a challenge that kind of spoke to him the way this one did, because he was pulling things out from his cooking school days. He was cooking from a place of memory, and when he made that roulade, and it turned out to work out for him. So And then we have Sherry that we just talked about with a jerk braised rabbit, yuca and plantain mofongo, avocado crema. The judge said it had good textures. It wasn't dry. It was very flavorful. The mystery diners loved it. So coming out of the gate strong with these first two. So we talked a lot about Sherry. What did you think of Seager's dish?
Yeah, I think he finally got a challenge that kind of spoke to him, like you said. Like it's his wheelhouse. It's what he wants to cook. It's probably what he cooks back home. So that kind of just leans itself to like you just sometimes you need a challenge that's for you, you know, and sometimes you get a challenge that's for you and you still don't win. Like when we did the patty challenge, for example, in Canada, like it was like a Jamaican beef patty challenge. And I was like, if me or Tristan don't win this, like what the WTF, guys? Like it's so long as I don't bomb, cool. But I was like, this is made for me to win. This is made for somebody like Tristan to win. And then I think Katiana won that with like a kimchi sweet potato empanada or something that she did. And it's like it doesn't matter. Like you just go for it. You just gotta go for it. Your flavor's gotta be there, your technique's gotta be there. But Seager in this specific case, I think just cooked how he regularly cooks. And I think that that's why he's been frustrated because he's been trying to cook how he wants to cook, and it's not getting him quite where he had one win way back on like what episode 4, 5, or 6, one of
Yeah.
4. Yeah. So he had that one win, and then it's just been a lot of rockiness since then. So I think that that's where it leans his frustration, and then he finally gets a win. So I think that could be a little confidence booster. But then if we go back to a challenge next week where it's not in his favor, does he get knocked out? I'm gonna keep saying it. Like, does he get knocked out because it's not his style?
Yeah. Yeah. So Lawrence and Jonathan were up next, and these are two that are coming off of big wins.
Mhm.
Jonathan had the really great taco last episode. Lawrence is riding his high of multiple wins. So Lawrence did a rabbit shumai, which I thought was an interesting idea, but he had some problems with the skins not sticking to the
Mhm.
rabbit. And he said, I don't use these skins before, haven't used these before, and I normally make my own, and it just wasn't working. So he decides to try to plate it upside down to hide that fact. Tom said it wasn't an interesting dish, and the mystery diners also clocked him on the wrapping. Jonathan did a rabbit croquette with butternut squash puree and a rabbit tenderloin with roasted mushroom and leek saute. I thought it was a mistake to do two ways, and I think he even knew it himself because in his confessional he's talking about going two ways. It's like you're making two different dishes, and you have two chances to be judged on one dish, which I think in any cooking competition, whether it's like Chopped or Beat Bobby Flay or anything, I think doing two ways of something is a mistake because you are getting double judged, and if one is great and one is bad, you could still be going home because of the one bad part of that dish. Unfortunately for
Mhm.
Jonathan, both weren't great. So we
Yeah, he
have
had problems with all of them.
we have two chefs that are coming off of highs that kind of trip up a little bit here. So where did we go wrong with Lawrence and Jonathan?
Lawrence did something that was out of his control. He used the product he'd never used before and said, what did he say? Quote for quote, I've never used this before. Typically, I would make my own, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have had enough time. And that's like, all right, then pivot. You got to pivot. Sometimes you actually have to pivot. Um, Tom said it in the beginning of the Quickfire when he was talking to Rhoda, where Rhoda had something, or the Hagante beans. She wanted to use Hagante beans, and he came by. He asked a couple questions. He knows how long it takes to cook Hagante beans, and he's like, she's not going to get it there. And he asked her, he's like, Hagante beans? She's like, they didn't make it to the plate. And he's like, great decision. I think that that's a testament of like knowing exactly where you're at in a challenge and then pivoting. Like maybe he didn't have the mise en place to pivot and make up a whole new idea, but he cooked his rabbit well. But it just, even the guest diners noticed. Like I've never had a shumai upside down where it wasn't open faced on the top or it didn't stick. They immediately clocked his mess ups, and so I just think it was just something he did out of his control, and he's lucky that Anthony, Jonathan just executed a little worse. Like he's lucky. He could have easily gotten knocked out. Imagine if Anthony's duck or his rabbit, I keep saying duck. Imagine if Anthony's rabbit was cooked properly and it wasn't dry in that egg roll. He's not in the bottom. Now Lawrence is. So that I think is like he just got lucky this challenge for sure. And that Top Chef will do that to you. You'll have some. You just don't got to be the worst one some days. Like it's impossible to win every single challenge. Danny Garcia probably disagrees, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's impossible for you to win every single challenge and be on a high with every single dish. And so I think in terms of Lawrence, yeah, it was just a moment of clarity. He can't let that happen again, because now there's 5 people left. And if the other 4 don't mess up, you're going home. That's how this unfolds at this point. If 4 people don't mess up, somebody's going home. Somebody has any little trip up, Tom's going to sniff it out. You're going home. So he's got to buckle in and really strap in these last couple of challenges so he doesn't get knocked out. And then in terms of Jonathan, I just, you can do things multiple ways, but it's got to be cohesive. And it just wasn't cohesive. Like they were on, even the rabbit was on different sides of the plate. Like why?
Yeah.
Like you're creating like a duo of something. Like doesn't need to be. Like use one as a vessel for the other. If you're going to do multiple different styles of something, show off your cooking bag and bring a complete dish that is cohesive. Like he could have used he could have confit the rabbit and use it as a bed to put the croquette standing up on, to give some height and some plating. I don't know. He could have went in another direction to where he could have showed off using all the cuts of the rabbit to make a complete dish without it being 2 things sitting on the sides of the plate away from each other. It's like you sleeping at home and your wife sleeps in the guest room. Some people do it. What are we doing? Why? We have a we have a bedroom. Let's sleep together. The dishes didn't sleep together, and I think that's the ultimate outcome of like why his dishes. And also, it was really salty. Everybody said it was like the braise itself was just super salty. The croquette was really big. The only thing, Grace, that I think deterred him from getting knocked out was the fact that it was still cooked properly. It was just salty.
Yeah.
The duo didn't work together, but he cooked the rabbit properly, whereas Anthony did not. And I think that's why Anthony got sent home.
Yeah, yeah. So there was some nitpicking about the size of the croquette, and Jonathan's like, "I didn't make an appetizer." So it was kind of funny at the judge, like, I don't, he didn't mean it as like, and they were kind of picking on him afterwards. How's that bus feel? Because you feel like ran over Anthony, because Anthony had this dainty plating of his dish, and, and Jonathan's like, "Well, I didn't make appetizers or hors d'oeuvres," and he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean that, to talk bad about Anthony." It was just like, that wasn't my intent, was to make a small croquette. He wanted to make something with a little bit of girth on there. But when you look at his plate in total, and I think the word disparate was used to describe Jonathan. Was
Mhm.
it too big, or was it properly sized to look like a drumstick of a rabbit?
I think had he not done the other part of the rabbit on the other side of the plate, it might have flown, because that would have been the focal point of the dish. And it's like, this is what I made, and this is one piece with the sauce and a garnish, and maybe that's it. And they would be like, okay, it's a little big, but like that's the dish. That's the whole dish. So had he done that, it might have fared a little bit better. But at the end of the day, you can't come back from saltiness. So I think he was always going to shoot himself in the foot there.
Yeah.
I don't think he was trying to bus drive Anthony. He was like, I didn't make hors d'oeuvres, and everybody was whoa, and
Yeah.
everybody flew off the hand. Oh shit! So that was funny. And he was like, no, I really wasn't trying to. But what if he probably didn't even see Anthony's dish? That's the thing about Top Chef. Everybody
Yeah.
thinks you see and taste everything. Like I had somebody ask me the other day, like, oh, whose food did you like taste in the Top Chef kitchen? That was like really amazing. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Unless somebody's directly next to you and you're like looking at what they did, which is not a lot of the challenges, you don't really like get to see that. Like sometimes the person that wins is on the other side of the kitchen or in a different part of the kitchen. So you don't always know. So I don't think he was actually trying to bus drive Anthony in that moment. He was just trying to, yeah, I think the fact that they called him out on his big dish, it just made him like, I mean, I guess a little nervous. Like, he's like, is it big? Like I wasn't trying to make something super dainty. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny the way it played out on TV, though.
It was.
Yeah. So the
Rhoda
last
being
two,
like, your back hurt?
yeah,
He's like, what?
Backert, how's
What are you
that bus
talking
feeling?
about?
Rhoda. Finally, we got Anthony and Rhoda bringing up the last couple of plates here. Anthony did the braised rabbit legs and thighs, carrot ginger puree, rabbit loin, carrot top salsa verde, rabbit jus, and carrot. Gail thought it was precious in air quotes, but it was disjointed. It didn't seem like a complete dish. Rhoda
Mhm.
did a roasted rabbit loin with rabbit sausage and pea stew. Tom called it rustic. Nikki said it wasn't as tender as expected, and Kristen thought it should have been more simple. So, a couple of things here with Anthony. We talked about his dish of it being super dry, and I think Gail said I used all that carrot ginger puree, and Tom was like, "You had to." Yeah, you didn't have a
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
So, and then Rhoda's was called rustic, which could kind of be code for sloppy sometimes, or not putting a lot of effort into the plating. When Kristen said she should have thought it'd been more simple, did she mean like less ingredients? Did she mean like a little bit of self editing there?
Yeah, I think she could have simplified that dish to make it a little bit more elegant. I think that that's what it was. Rhoda said it herself. As soon as he came back to the kitchen, she was like, "Oh, like it wasn't the prettiest dish, but my flavors were great." And sometimes that's okay. Um, I think at the judges table, everybody liked something different about her dish, which is why it was conflicting. Yeah, Kristen said she did believe they didn't need the tomatoes. One of the judges was like, "I thought the tomatoes brought the greatness of the rabbit out." Just
Yeah.
everybody's judging of that. Her dish was kind of all over the place, and there was no cohesive judging, which is why she kind of stuck in the middle. But also, like, yeah, like if that is if that's your interpretation of what you're going to serve in terms of Michelin, that's where I think Kristen's going to drop your gem. Like it needed a little simplifying. She's always doing that. She's like she finds her pockets to give you your kudos. Like, for example, on the patty challenge that I did, she was just like, your filling was amazing. Your dough was tough. She said it like kind of like past judging because like everybody was expecting me or Tristan to like excel at this challenge. And I knew as soon as we had the time limit for the dough, I was like, oh, this is gonna be hard. And then I didn't give my dough enough time to rest as I started shaping. And as soon as I started shaping, it was like the dough was shrinking. And I was like, I rolled it too tight. And I was like, it's gonna eat tough. And then I took a chance on using the pizza oven, which really high heat plus not rested dough is gonna eat tough. That two things for sure. And she's like, had you nailed your dough, like she dropped it in the pocket. She's like, if your dough was right, you'd have probably been up there. She finds her pockets to like give you your kudos or like, let you know where you're at in terms of the challenge. And she did that with all of us. I heard you hear it. She would say things in and you'd go back and be like, was she trying to diss me or was she kicking me $1 million worth of game? And then you think about it, and she's like, nah, she's trying to kick game because she sees the challenge. She knows Top Chef. Like she wants everybody to do well. Kristen is one of the most genuine people you'll ever meet. And it's like there's no reason why she's not the judge because of that. Like she has amazing character as a person, as a chef. And you see it in terms of how she interacts with all of us. And so, she wants everybody to do well. She doesn't want anybody to struggle or even though it's Top Chef, she doesn't want to see you like bomb, or fail hard. Like out the gate, the way in which she approached Nana, for example, is exactly that. And she has her pockets of like trying to be like, it was a little too rustic. It needed a little simplifying. And she'll kind of give you a look. It needed a little simplifying.
Yeah.
And then
Like
that's her
hint,
way of
hint.
being like, if you would have tightened this up a little bit, you would have had a great dish. If you would have think a little bit like think about your next dish, how you approach your next dish, take this into mind. And I think that that's where ultimately she wasn't trying to say her dish was bad in any way. I just think that Kristen has her way of critiquing food that is like very, very intentional and it shows.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's why she makes such a great host and judge is because she's
Yeah.
been there. So she
Hmm.
knows the path that these chefs have taken or are taking through the course of this competition, and because she's been there from beginning through Last Chance Kitchen to winning the finale, she's
Hmm.
experienced all aspects of the game.
Yeah.
So there's none of it that she can't say I don't know what that feels like. She knows exactly what everybody's going through. So
She's a
um,
true champion.
true champion. Exactly
Yeah.
right. Exactly right. So let's talk about judges table. So the top of the judges table, to no surprise, was Sherry and Seager, based on the comments that they got on their dishes. I think Sherry winning the competition tonight. The moral of the story is don't let Tom get in your head. Like if you are confident about what you're cooking and the point of view that you're trying to portray with your dish, keep
Hmm.
going for it. Don't let
Yeah.
people get in your head. Don't let Tom get in your head. So I agree with you what he was saying about jerk isn't normally braised. Well, no, but you can still get jerk flavoring no matter what technique of cooking you do. The
Correct.
point of her dish and what she was trying to get out was, I really want to highlight this jerk seasoning. I really want to highlight this jerk flavor and in Puerto Rico, on a plate with the mofongo and everything. So she knew exactly what she wanted. got the ingredients that she needed and didn't let Tom get in her head. And she won. And she won for
Mhm.
that. So I think that was a good call on her part. And then Seager with his roulade, I think this was right up his alley. So not a surprise that he was on the top. The bottom was a little bit more interesting. We had Jonathan and Anthony on the bottom for the same reason. Their dishes were just kind of disconnected. And Anthony was the one that goes home because of a dry rabbit. Looking at the two side by side, did the right chef go home?
Yes. As we've seen, cooking, technical cooking at a glance is make or break in Top Chef. Doesn't your resume, where you've been, how old you are, your restaurant's accolades, all that leaves second you walk into Top Chef and it's all about technical cooking. If you undercook or severely overcook something, buckle up, pack your knives. That's it. You know what I mean? We've seen that time and time again. I think this season specifically, we've seen the judging very consistent in terms of like the two people that are stacked up, or the two or three, four people, however many are in the elimination bracket. There, it's always a consensus of who made the mistake in terms of technical cooking for the feature, which is this challenge. And the right person has gone home more often than not. Seager, for example, when it came to the barbecue challenge, overcooked the loin, took the loin, and went home for that. It was the only piece of that pig that he overcooked. And you went home for overcooking that piece. Is it technically rustic, or like, is it that the technical way of which you roast a whole hog in North Carolina? Yeah, for sure. But everybody knows the loin is dry, so let's adapt some different cooking in. And he shouldn't be in this competition. He got lucky. Let's just say that. Seager should not be here. Just based on how freakishly the competition played out, he opted out of LCK, didn't want to do it, or whatever happened. I don't know. But it, he that's the testament of it. You know what I mean? But Anthony got short in the stick. The thing is, Anthony's not going to get any ability to come back. That's the difference. He could. There's no LCK, so he's out for it. But he went out gracefully. He went out with his head held high. It sucks. He's obviously sad. He had all the upswing to go far in this competition. So I'm eager to see what Anthony does with his career. He's definitely got talent. He's definitely got charisma. He's got all the things on his side. So Anthony, you get knocked out, keep your head high. I lost some points clearly for this. You're inching back very close. This is making me nervous at this point. But I also had Sherry get a win, so maybe not.
That's right. That's right. We'll talk about the
Maybe not.
draft point updates here in just a second.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, we were talking last week with Anthony and Lawrence. We were talking about it's their competition to lose, and you're only
Yep.
good as your last dish. This is not cumulative judging. This is what did you put in front of me at that moment. And if we were talking about cumulative judging, then Jonathan should have went home, but we're not. We're talking about the very last dish you put up, and Anthony just tripped up on this one with the dry rabbit. And we are seeing some consistent judging with the cooking of proteins. With all things being equal, who messed up the cooking of the protein, and that's who's been going home. So very consistent judging, and I think fair judging at this point in the competition. I hated to see Anthony go because he's doing really well. But yeah, man, you miscooked the rabbit. It was so dry that they had to have the puree, and that's not a good sign. Not a good sign.
No.
So let's talk about the draft point update. As we were talking about for the episode total, you are the winner of this episode, a score of 6 to -1.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my negatives came deep with Jonathan being on the bottom. And for the overall score, you're winning 92 to 67. So you are still well in the lead with only a couple of episodes left. I mean, we got maybe three episodes left. So we'll see how that pans out. But overall, I thought this was a really good episode. I think some people might be divided on who went home. I don't know. I haven't checked Reddit lately, but a really tough outing for Anthony. Hated to see him go. Great to see Sherry kind of cooking with a little bit of fire. Not that she hasn't been, but there's just the heat got turned up for a little bit, and she's going to be the dark horse, I think, to win this whole thing. Lawrence tripped up. Let's see if he can pick himself up for the next episode and go through it. But we covered a lot, man. I think we did it, and covered a really great episode. Where can people find you on socials to keep up with what's going on with your life and what's going on at the restaurant this week?
Find me on Instagram, Chef Corwin Hemming. Things at the restaurant. We are settling into early summer, which is good. We're gonna start working some new R&D. We're busy, parties, dinner service, all the things. Just nothing's new. We're just settling into the spring, early summer menu. So just trying to stay consistent, trying to get better at what we do. We are up for a Rammy's finalist, which is happening in exactly 1 month until we find out if we win Best New Restaurant in Washington, D.C. So Lonnie, team at Isla, everybody that's involved, big up yourself. All the hard work is paying off. I was walking around the dining room last night. I had a couple family members and a couple friends in, and people were like really, 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 really happy with the level of food and the flavors we're cooking right now. So I'm happy with my team. I'm going to go in and I'm bringing some gummy bears to work today. I'm going to hand some gummy bears out to the team just because we're doing a lot of right things. There's a lot of checks and balances in place, and the food is coming out really, really delicious right now.
Nice, nice. Go check out Isla if you're ever in the DC area. And don't forget to follow me on my socials at Rich Herrera
Mhm.
and at Eat Your Content. Make sure you like and subscribe on your podcast player of choice and hit the bell icon on YouTube so you know when new things are coming out. Chef, we'll see you next week.
Over and out.